Danny Pena is creator and host of one of the longest-running and critically acclaimed video game podcasts of all time, Gamertag Radio. He's followed a passion for games his entire life, which has led him all across the country, to a heralded career in games media, to his life partner, and now into the spotlight with me, which surely has to be right there at the top of his ladder of achievements, right? Danny is a very thoughtful and methodical public figure. He's always lifting up his peers, making the right moves at the right times, and he's never afraid to take a chance or to follow a dream. He is the subject of an all-new children's book which is aptly titled Danny Loves Video Games, which chronicles Danny's pursuit of a wonderful life guided by his love of play. I met Danny several years ago through his podcast community, and I've had the opportunity to work with him on some key projects that I was very proud to be attached to. When Danny interviewed Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, he wanted me to draw the key art for the interview. And he did so again later when he interviewed Reggie Fils-Aimé of Nintendo. Danny has believed in me and Megadads from day one.
Talk to us through it, right? What are some of your favorite ones?
All right, so I'm gonna mention a couple ones. What's Good Games is pretty good from Andrea, Brittany, the whole crew. Spawn on Me, awesome. The Show Radio, they're from here too locally. And also one of the ones I'm listening to a lot right now is Megadads. Shout out to Adam and John. I was actually on their podcast. I'm not a dad, but I love the way how it's two dads just talking about family and video games, and I like that they're going to a lot of like events to do like they're recording podcast live in front of a studio audience. So that's pretty cool.
That's insane to talk about. Yeah.
And it's invaluable to have someone like him to be a beacon of what is possible if you believe in yourself and your dream. I'm so excited to welcome into the spotlight today Danny Pena of Gamertag Radio. How are you?
Good. Just busy.
Yeah?
This month has been insane with work and stuff that I'm doing for the book and like other stuff. So it's just been crazy. But yeah, besides that, been good.
Are you the kind of guy? Good. Are you the kind of guy who likes being busy, or are you the kind of guy?
Oh yeah. I like last week. I had to just relax because it was just so much. So Rhea and I just took our couple of days. I think it was like only like 2 days off.
You are the guy who I feel like is always hustling, always pushing, always doing the next thing. And like, I can remember listening to episodes of yours and you talking about, we're going to take a break next week. We haven't taken a break in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Yep.
I always wonder if that's, because I'm kind of the same way where if I'm not doing something, I'm thinking about doing something. So I'm almost more comfortable constantly creating. I always wonder if you're that way or if you just open yourself.
I like to keep myself busy, man. I don't know. I always been like that since a kid. I always have to move around and do something,
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, I'm always thinking of what's next every time. Even at work, I'm always having meetings, and when I'm not doing much, I'm just thinking like, okay, who should I work with next, and this and that. So it's been good, but it helps me to keep myself busy.
I love watching your Twitter feed and seeing like, here I am today with Lance Reddick, and it's just cool because like I remember when I started listening to you guys, it was probably 2018 or 2019, and it was I think you were in Miami at the time, and I've seen you go from Miami to New York. California.
No, actually in Miami I was I was there until September 2019.
2019.
Yeah, and then I was in New York the whole time after that.
Yep.
And then I moved here November 2020.
Are you home, do you think, now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so. Yeah. I needed change because I was always either Miami, New York. And I think coming over here completely changed everything, man.
Yeah?
Yeah. We just bought a house.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks. We bought a house, when was it? March, exactly a month before our wedding. exactly a month before our wedding. Yep.
A lot of milestones for you lately.
Yeah, man. It's been I'm telling you, but it's because I keep myself busy, and having, supporting me, and I'm always supporting her too. We're always helping each other out. Like, oh, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. So yeah, it's been great. It's been really great year.
That's really cool that you've got a partner who is like in that same ecosystem, that same sphere, and has like the same interests and motivation style. And you guys are very uplifting people. Like, you're always helping community and talking about the importance of making like substantial change and things like that. You're not just out there creating for the sake of creating, but like you're actually moving the space forward, which is that's got to be a huge life shift for you, right? Having her with you.
It is important to me because growing up I really didn't have that, man. And that's the main reason why I decided to do the book with my cousin, because he came up to me late last year. He's like, "Hey, Danny, I'm working on something," and at first he wanted to keep it as a surprise, and then I was in Miami and we went out to eat with Riri, and we were talking for hours, for like a good 2 hour plus at a restaurant, just talking about the concept of the book, and I just love the idea. And the main reason why I want to do that is just to support those kids that don't have that support from like their parents, or doesn't know how to get there, that path. So I just want to just show people that dream big and it's possible for you to achieve your dreams. I learned everything on my own, but at the same time, my mom was very supportive. She was like, hey, let's go for it. Let's do it. While my dad was more of, I don't know, man, you might be wasting your time. Doesn't really pay the bills. Like, he's one of those, like, I need to see results. My mom is like, let's go for it. So, but now my dad, like, oh my God, he's like super proud. He's talking to her about me, because he's a taxi driver, so a cab driver. So he would get a passenger and start talking about podcasts. Like, hey, have you heard of podcasts? Hey, my son, he's in here and this and that, So, but when I was a kid, I went up to my mom, and this is like during the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis days. And I told my mom, hey, we were living in the Dominican Republic.
Right.
And I was like, hey, Mom, I have an idea. How about if we rent a space, an office space, and I could charge people per controller for them to play with my Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. And she's like, I like that idea, let's go for it. So we rented the space, and I had tons of consoles, tons of TVs, and a bunch of games, and people will come and they were playing Mortal Kombat 2, Super Bases Loaded, Donkey Kong Country. Like, we had like all these big Street Fighter 2, that was like the big one too back in those days. And
your own private arcade, huh?
Yeah, but it was all consoles, so it was awesome. It was really, really cool. But see, that it's all about the support. The book to me is important because I'm helping the kids, like, for them to be inspired to dream big and everything. But at the same time, I'm also educating parents for them to be like, hey, you know what? I want them to be open and also support their kids, because sometimes parents, they will say you're wasting your time right away. Like, no, you gotta do this, like the traditional stuff. Go to college, go to school. I'm not saying don't do that, but that's it. That's the only way for the kids, for them to achieve their dreams, is go to school and college, and that's it. And there's more than that. I learned a lot of things during school, during college, and also after that too. So, but thank God I did it myself.
Yeah, life experience accounts for a lot of things, especially in this space. Now, your book is all about you growing up. How much space does it cover in terms of your childhood, and like does it bridge the gap between you being a child and to showing where you are today?
Well, the book is 42 pages long, so we wanted to keep it as simple as possible, because this is more for like 6 to 11 years old. 6 to 10 around there, for them to see, how I grew up, how I got into gaming. Like it shows this one page where it's my grandmother giving me the Atari Atari 2600 for the first time. So you see me like happy, and she's happy too, but she has no idea what was going on. Like she doesn't know anything about gaming, but
Right.
that moment completely changed my life, so I show that. I also show coming up with idea of Gamertag Radio and stuff that I did after that, like and also attending the podcast awards and everything like that, and getting my first award. So I wanted to do it in a way where it's to the point and for them to understand. Like I didn't want to do certain things, like I don't want to make it like too technical or anything like that.
Right.
So, but it's just that. But you see me as like the whole book. You see me still as like a young kid, But it's awesome, and I can't wait. I would love to do more of these. Like I want to, talk also like Danny loves podcasting. Danny loved this,
Right.
Yeah. So let me show you. So this is the book.
I love the art style. Who did the illustration work?
So my cousin and his wife. So their published company is called Two Quality People. They've done other children's books.
Okay.
So they hire people to do the drawing, everything for this book and for previous books. But the good thing is, they were showing me like the concept, and we will like decide like, okay, let's make some changes, let's do this and that. So, but the team that they worked with, like they're amazing, man. Really, really cool, man. So I want to show you when this is the first thing that we show here in this book is me playing arcades in New York City. Yeah. So, but you see that I'm like shining because it was just me, just like mind blowing, getting into gaming and everything. And it's the same thing with my grandmother giving me like the Atari 2600 for the first time. You see that, So, but in the book, and I even surprised my brother because I didn't even mention anything to him. He's in the book of us podcasting together for the first time.
No way.
Yeah, it's in there too. So when I showed it to him, he got emotional. Like, damn, I didn't know you were gonna do this. I'm like, hey man, I need to show people how it happened, and I kept it as a secret too, because I never mentioned it to Pierre Paris. I just like kept on the super down low. Only 4 of us knew the whole time about this project, So
How long of a process was this to?
The conversation started late last year, and we actually sat down and made it official with everything was around late January, early February of this year.
Does this process does it get your gears kind of turning about maybe writing like an actual biography? Has that ever been something you've thought about doing?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was actually working on one, and I paused it because I wanted to work on this. So hopefully in the future,
okay,
maybe it could happen. I would love to do that because there's a lot of things I want to talk about that I've never talked about publicly, and I think it's important for me to talked about it in the book and stuff. So we'll see. Fingers crossed if everything goes through. We'll see. But I always wanted to release a book about my life. Always. For years, I always wanted to do that. I've done, the documentary, actually 2. That did pretty good. The podcast, speaking engagement. I've done it all, and the book was the only one that I was missing. So yeah. This is a dream come true, man, for me, man. So.
Gaming has really kind of, it seems like it has opened up so many avenues to you, and I feel like you kind of identify the very close people like Pete and Paris as family. Like it seems like the gaming community is a family that you've created for yourself, and with this book you're going to be showing people like the really enriching parts of what gaming can do for you. One thing that kind of strikes me as you talk about helping kids kind of like realize their dreams and realizing what like their passions can do to open up avenues for them. For you, when you were growing up, the gaming industry was so raw, like so young, and you've created a lot of avenues for yourself that might not have been very apparent, like podcasting. You know, obviously now podcasting is huge, it's everywhere, but you were like a pioneer in that space. You carved out a path for yourself with this brand new medium. Do you think now the space with so much content creation and streaming and all that thing, do you think it's going to be easier for kids to kind of take those steps towards that kind of creative life? Or do you think they're going to be creating new avenues that maybe we haven't even thought of yet? Like what
I think both. It's a lot easier now because of technology. When I started, there was not a lot of broadband. I didn't have a professional mic. I had to do everything with whatever I had at the moment. So I was doing stuff with tape recorder, video cameras, you know. So and at the same time, I had a radio connected to the computer. So I also had like a software to record MP3. So I had to do a countdown, press play, and record in real time. Like it wasn't how it is now. Like, oh, I could just highlight the wave and edit. And so back then it was a lot harder for me, but I made it happen. You know, now with the technology and so many ways for people to upload content, like, you know, through either YouTube or streaming services like Twitch and everything, it's a lot easier nowadays, you know. And who knows, maybe there is going to be people now growing up coming up with something brand new that's going to take off, man. You know, I remember the time where people were streaming video games through Justin.tv, right? Like it was something totally new back in those days. And it blew up so much that now we have Twitch. So I wasn't thinking about that back in those days. You know, I'll record my games on a VCR and a cassette and a tape back then, you know. So, but I wasn't thinking of like, oh, I'm gonna share this to the world, you know. Right. But thinking about it, you know, back in the '80s, growing up playing arcades, even in the '90s, we were kind of doing the same exact thing, but in a different way. Where we're playing arcades, we're behind people playing games, and we're just watching there, and we don't even have quarters. We would just stand there and just watch, and you see them doing commentary or other people doing commentary. That's what we're doing now, but just digitally. You know, it was the same exact thing back then. You know, so but yeah, I think people could come up with some great ideas and cool stuff that is gonna blow up, like and also for them to succeed in life too. I think so.
Do you think that this new like digital interactive format, you know, you talk about how the parallels between watching somebody on Twitch and watching somebody pump quarters into a machine. Do you think this new digital format, and especially over the last couple of years with the pandemic, do you think there's ever going to be a point where we're needing to get back into that space of being among people? Because I personally, like, I miss so much the last event that I went to was E3 2018, and I saw that you went to Play Days this year for Summer Game Fest. Was that an amazing feeling to get back amongst those people?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Going to Summer Game Fest and even the Game Awards back in December. I think that was the first actual in-person event, was the Game Awards back in December. And that was one of the best feelings in the world, because we haven't seen any events in a long time because of the pandemic. And also now Summer Game Fest was even better, because there was people that were not at the event at the Games Awards, and they came to this one for the first time, and it felt good. I think it wasn't about like, oh, let me get the content and interviews, and it was about the people, man.
Yeah,
people they're showing their games, the content creators we haven't seen in a long time, journalists I haven't seen in a long time. Just meeting up with everyone it felt special, man. And now, you know, now we've been getting invites to other events that we're not allowed to talk about, but it looks like it's slowly coming back, and it feels good, man. Like nothing beats in person events or meeting people in person, man. Look, I met Paris. I met Paris and a lot of other people. P was more in person, but Paris, I met him first, you know, online, And when we met for the first time, that's when like we created magic, man, of like us recording content, us coming up with ideas, or just us crashing events back in the days, that we were not invited, so but yeah, I would love to see more in-person events, man. And if whoever is watching this, listening to this, like if they have an opportunity to attend an event, go for it, man. I know we have to be careful because of the pandemic and everything, but just try, man, because honestly that helped me back in the days to get the word out about me and about GTR, passing out flyers, going to like local stores in Miami. I see people there in line waiting for a game to come out. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take advantage of this because there's people here. Let me just let them know about GTR. And it helped them to get a word out. And also going to events like E3 for the first time, not knowing anything about the conference. I just showed up there with my brother. It helped me how to learn how to do business, man. Like, how to, like I always say, how to hustle to get in to appointments and get those interviews. And look, 2 months after that first time that I went to E3, that's when Steve Jobs announced we're going to put podcasting into iTunes. And it helped us to grow more. And it helped us to our numbers to go high. And everybody was just hitting us up like, hey, we would like for you to interview so-and-so, so-and-so. But it helped me to get out there. And because of that, that's how they found out about Gamertag Radio.
And you do so much right now. Your Gamertag Radio obviously is one of the most prolific video game podcasts on the market right now. You're working for G4 X-Play, correct? Writer for X-Play?
Yes, for X-Play. So I'm the games editor lead for G4, but it was more for X-Play. But now, because of other shows within the network, they also need help about getting their games shown on Games Be on linear TV, on cable. So I will help them to build that relationship and get permission from the publisher. So, I work on that, interviews, a whole bunch of stuff, for G4.
And you do speaking engagements, new Danny Loves Games book. You do so much, and you're constantly talking about the hustle. But like, what? Do you ever think there's nothing more? Like, what's next? Like I for a guy like me who is just, I'm a small fish, and I can think of like a million places that I can take my content. But like, you have reached such a high bar. Like, what's that next step, that next thing that you're looking to achieve?
Well, I can't say what it is just yet, but I'm working on some stuff with my wife, Rihanna Manuel.
Okay.
And we went out last night to celebrate.
So there's even more. You've got
even more.
Your eyes set
Yes.
even further down the road. That's amazing to me.
Yeah. It's look, I've been telling this to a lot of people. The past few years has been one of the best times of my life. Like right now, I'm just having fun. At the same time, making moves. Like next month, when the book comes out, because it actually comes out September 15th, I'm actually gonna go to Miami and celebrate the release of the book with my family and friends. We've been talking to the Miami-Dade County Library, and they love the book so much that they want us to have an event there. And I'm gonna do this with my cousin, Mr. Luna, and his wife. Rihanna's gonna be part of it too, and me. And yeah, it looks like right now the event looks like it's gonna get sold out. Right now, I think it's only like 20 tickets left, and we're gonna have like a little bit over 100 people in the venue. So we're very excited. So
wow,
it's a special time in my life, man. I'm just enjoying it, dude. Like I'm enjoying the ride, and at the same time, if there's any way for me to give back and help out as much as possible, I'm gonna do that too, man. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening behind the scenes that once it's official, I could mention it to everybody. But it's an exciting time for me, man.
So many content creators are like pushing that boulder. You have so many achievements. Does it feel a little easier to come up with those new ideas and take those new steps, or do you still feel like you're grinding like you used to?
It's a mix, man. It depends. Like the book. This is super new to me because I've never done this before. I feel like back then, like, okay, I gotta, I have to figure it out. Like, so I'm constantly coming up with ideas of stuff that I would like to do, but at the same time, there's people that they hear about my story and they just like, we want Danny to talk to our students, our employees, like just to inspire other people too, so, and it's good that it's not bragging at all, but it's good to post your wins online.
Yes,
because that will help to get the word out. Because look, there's so many content creators, there's so many websites, but if you don't tell people your wins, how are they gonna know? How are they gonna contact you for other futures opportunities? That's why I'm always posting stuff. Like, I don't have time to be going back and forth with the whole console war nonsense. Like, I just laugh every time I see that, because I feel like that's like a waste of time. But why not post your wins? Like for you, post your anniversary of Mega Dads. Mention the events that you guys attend to. Take your pictures, post that. Like any wins that you have, post that. So the other people that might discover you for the first time, they're like, oh man, so they're making moves. Damn, Danny's making moves. Paris making moves. So, and here's one advice that I mentioned this to a lot of people. Manifest, man. One day we were living at an apartment during this time, and I was in the balcony just drinking my coffee. I do this every day. Like I'll go out and just look outside and just vibe. And I thought about something. I was like, man, I would love to like surprise my mom and my dad with a billboard in Times Square. I was just thinking about that, right? So I mentioned that to Rihanna, like, man, I would love to surprise them. And she goes, yeah, you should manifest that, post it online. I'm like, I don't know if I should. She was like, no, go. I think you should definitely manifest that, post it online, see what happens. So I did. A couple hours later, Twitch hit me up, and they were like, hey Danny, can you fill out this form? They didn't say anything else. It was just like, future campaigns or whatever network or events will contact you. So I fill it out. Near September, it was like the end of August, they hit me up and said, hey Danny, we're gonna have Hispanic Heritage Month campaign coming up. We would like for you to be part of it. And I said, hell yeah, I'll be part of it, but I didn't know anything about the billboard. Then the third email after that, like a couple weeks after, they were like, Danny, send me your images, your logo, everything. We're gonna have 4 billboards in Times Square. Please do not mention this to anyone. This is super under wraps, but we would like to do it. So I did it. I was in Dominican Republic, and we flew a couple days before September 15th. And I was there with my wife, and I was getting ready also to propose to her that day of September 15th. And
busy.
So I get an email from Twitch saying, oh, it's going live on this day at this time for 10 days. And I went. I remember this. I was laying in bed at the resort in Punta Cana, and I went to one of those like Times Square webcams, and I saw it. As soon as I clicked it, I saw the billboard. I'm like, what? That was like one of the first things I got to see was that. It was exactly at midnight, and dreams do come true, man. Dreams do come true. Paris one time said on Twitter, just out of nowhere, one day I would like to host a showcase. And what happened? Almost a year later, he got an opportunity to host the Xbox showcase. And I found out was it because of that tweet. That tweet got the attention of the company, Xbox, and they're like, let's contact Paris. Maybe this is a good idea. Let's see what happens. And it worked out, so you never know who's watching, who's reading your tweets, your posts, or who's listening to your podcast. Even there, if you don't get no emails, no comments, you never know what could happen, man. So,
and I think there's something really to be said, especially about you guys specifically, is that like good things happen to good people. I think you guys always treat your audience and your community the right way. The partners that you work with, you treat them with respect, you give them their dues, you encourage the folks around you, you lift people up. And I just think that there's karma there, you know, like you guys have been doing such great work for so long and helping others achieve their dreams that it comes back to you. And I'm very privileged to have known you, you know, in the capacity that we have for the last few years. I think you're a great inspiration, not only to the kids that are going to read this book, to like people in this space. And I hope you take the time to kind of, you know, you talk about posting your wins, but I hope you like really just take those times to reflect on where you've arrived and how people look up to you, because I think a lot of people really do.
yeah, I always think about that too. That's why I'm very careful of what I say online. And, you know, when I started podcasting, I would take things personal, even in the early days when I started internet radio, because I'm like, oh, so-and-so said this about the show, or they gave us a bad review or whatever. Like, I used to take things way too personal back in the days. And I got to the point, I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm just having fun. There's people going to hate it, and there's people that are going to be happy about it, you know. Even when I recorded my interview with Reggie Fils-Aimé, which it took me, no joke, 10 years to get him on the show. 10 years. I did the interview. There's people that were like, oh, it could have been this. I'm like, why you didn't ask this question about the GameSpot stocks and this? And I'm like, Reggie's not going to answer that. Like, I have questions that I've been holding to myself for like, I don't know how long. I want to talk to Reggie about that stuff, right? So, and here's the crazy thing about that particular interview. Like, it was one of my biggest interviews that I've done in my life. Like, I've done so many, but the reason why that interview was so important to me is because, first of all, he's the first Black American to be president of a gaming company. That has never happened in this industry. And that, to me, someone growing up as a Latino, like that's the beginning of change that we're going to see in the industry. So I would like to talk to him and ask him, like, how was it growing up in the Bronx? Because I'm also from New York City, you know, like, and I know how New York is, like, growing up back in those days, you know. So it was very important for me to sit down and talk to him. And here's the crazy thing. That all happened because I posted the Phil Spencer interview for our 1000 episode, and I said, oh, I would love to interview Reggie one day, man, because, you know, every time I try to get an interview with him, Nintendo would decline. It would never go through. And Reggie randomly just replied saying, oh, let's make it happen. I was like, wait, what? It took us a year to make that happen because of scheduling. Plus, I'll say, hey, you know, it's perfect for us to do it during our anniversary. So we did the interview and went live. He loved the conversation so much that fast forward months later, I go to DICE in Las Vegas, and I bump into a very legendary journalist, Dean Takahashi from GamesBeat. He came up to me and was like, hey, Danny, we're going to have GamesBeat. We would like for you to be part of it. Is it possible? Like, depends, because I'm getting married in April. I know this is around April, so if it's during the week that we're getting married, then it's not going to happen. He's like, we'll stay in touch. I'm like, all right. So a couple weeks before our wedding, and at the same time I was in the process of buying a house, and it was just wild that time. It was wild.
When is it never not wild for you?
It was insane. Like, I was so stressed, and I'll talk about that later. But I get an email from D Takahashi. He said, hey, Danny, we're having GamesBeat. We were talking to Reggie. We gave him a list of people that he would like, you know, potentially do this fireside chat for this as a keynote during our event, and he didn't want to do it with any of those guys, with any of those people. He wanted to do it with you. He requested this. Multiple people no, I want Danny. I want Danny to be part of this. And I'm like, what? So they told me the date. It was like, let me see. It was April 26th, something like that. I got married April 23rd in Las Vegas. So I drove. I'm telling you, it was like the wildest time. I drove from Vegas. We got here Monday morning. I had to do an interview with Vice because they were also promoting some stuff that I did with Microsoft. And then the 26th, I did the keynote with Reggie on stage. There was no honeymoon. There, like, we were just like in and out, and it was all because Manifest, posting online, if you connect all the dots of all the stuff that I've been doing. So I'm always posting stuff, and Reggie's one of the first people to like it on different social media platforms. And I'm like, wow, man, like it's so cool. Even other people that follow me, like, Phil and so on. But like you said, it was because I'm a very nice person. I'm very careful what I post online. So let's say I was one of those fanboy console war nonsense. I'm always posting and attacking people. Do you think I would have gotten all this opportunities? No. That's why I had to cut a lot of negative people from my life, because one, I didn't want that energy. Two, I just didn't want to deal with that and associate with people that are like that, and for me, that's not helping the industry at all, man. It's not helping kids growing up that want to be part of this, and it just hurt us because people from the outside that doesn't know anything about gaming, and they see this nonsense. They're like, oh, it's a bunch of kids acting stupid online. You get what I'm saying? So we have to be smart. It's like a game of chess. You have to think before you move.
Yeah.
You make the wrong move, it's a wrap. Game over. So that was a very long answer, but
I've been talking to a lot of different people over these past interviews, and one thing that constantly comes up is how methodical people are with what they put out into the space. Sure. And I've been talking a lot about how I've changed my energy input and my energy output over the last couple of years, and I think a lot of that has been COVID and just kind of being stuck with my thoughts and introspection and stuff like that. But I used to have bad energy, and I recognized that I did, and I wasn't feeling good about it. I wasn't enjoying hearing that kind of energy from other people, and I recognized that it was coming from me. And I've changed a lot of how I interact, I think, and I'm still changing. It's a process. It's something that I continue to work on, both in my social space and in my personal life. And it's so much. It helps so much to be able to kind of guide yourself on that energy level of what you allow to get inside and what you put out into the world. And I think that you're one of those people that is always conscious of that, and I think it served you well.
No, thank you. Thanks. Having, besides my wife, because she's always amazing, but also having friends, like Pena and Paris and other people like Tony. That's a lot. It's a long list, but
right.
Having them in my life helped me to be a better me, a better person, a better content creator, a better business person. They've been influential on a lot of things. During the pandemic, I felt alone. Like before Rihanna, I was in a previous relationship, and it was a very long relationship, and it happened in a very dark time in my life when we broke up. Then I also got laid off on my previous job at Discovery Channel. I was there for a very long time. This timing just sucked. I'm not gonna lie, I was broke. I was not happy with everything. I had to take a break for like a month with the podcast, and having them in my life, it helped me to be in a better place, because I was not in a good place at all. So then I left from Miami. I left to New York, And I was, getting there happy, and then I'm getting opportunities and working with Cheddar and a couple other outlets, and I would work with 368. I was just making a lot of moves during that time, and then the pandemic happened, and I'm like, oh my god, what in the? I was just stuck. I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if things is gonna get worse. I don't know if we're gonna start getting sponsors. 'Cause it was like question mark. A lot of people didn't know what was gonna happen at all during that year in 2020, right? But then around summer, like around June or so, the end of May, I was back at it, man, making moves, doing stuff. I would work with a lot of other people. Cheddar shut down the show that was all about gaming. So I had to figure out another way, and then I didn't have the equipment like I have now, so I will go to 368 and they have everything there, the camera, the lighting. They were like, Danny, whatever you want, just come over here and do your thing. They helped me too. Shout out to Ida and Gabe. They used to work over there, and they helped me a lot. And I did that for a while. I met Ree. I was still making moves. Now I'm like getting even more stuff from companies, like not only business opportunities, but also access. So like getting the Xbox Series X over a month in advance before it came out. I was like, whoa, that never happened. I will get it for like a week or two early maybe, but over a month? Again, it was a different time because of the pandemic. And even Paris got the PS5 early too. And I was like, yo, Paris, let's create some cool content. Let's do this thing. And we did an amazing job. But one thing I wanted to do that I was just out with Tony and Rihanna. We were drinking at a park, and I came up with an idea, because I'm like, 2020 was a very difficult year, especially for healthcare workers. I came up with an idea on the spot while drinking with them, which is insane. I was like, hey, I have an idea. How about if I could surprise one of our listeners to be the first consumer in the world to play the Xbox Series X? Do you think Microsoft would give me the okay to do it? Because when we got the console, the NDA and the embargo dates for that, it was the most confusing thing I ever, out of all the things I worked on all my life, that was like the hardest and the most difficult one. Not gonna lie. Every week it was like something different that we were allowed to talk about. Mm-hmm. So I asked them, and Tony and Rihanna were like, yo, I think you should do it. That's a great idea. Nobody ever done that before. Because the embargo date was talk about the features, and I didn't want to do that because everybody was going to do that, right? So I hit up Microsoft and I asked them, like, is it okay? And they were like, yeah, Danny, we love the idea, but if this person leaks it before the embargo date, that's on you. I was like, and I'd never met this person from our community. Never. Yeah, so something inside of me was like, Danny, go for it. So I lied to him. I told him, we're going to have a community get together at 368, very small group people. It's been a difficult year, but we're going to get together. He's like, oh man, I'm excited. Yeah, just come, make sure you have your mask, blah, blah. We had camera crew outside hiding, waiting for him to come in. So I wish I had that footage, but it was pouring. It was raining, but they were outside waiting for him. So they recorded that. Then he comes inside and he sees us all dressed up all in white. We had our mouth covered and everything. What the hell's going on? So he goes inside and he's like, Danny? I go, hey man, hey, come in. Michael, sit down here. I want to talk to you about some stuff. This is our first time meeting. He's like, yeah, man, what's going on? I'm like, don't worry. And he sees the console, the TV. We turn on the lights. Like, I want him to feel like special. Like, yo, this is all about you. It's not about me. It's not about none of the people here. It's about you. And I said to him, hey, man, you're going to be the first consumer in the world to play the Xbox Series X. I have tons of games here, old and new. Enjoy it. You have an hour. Do whatever you want with it. Check out the new features. I mean, he's like, are you serious? I go, yes. Here. I let him do that, right? Tony Polanco from Throwdown Show. He comes in, gives him the controller, and he's there like, wow, man, this is so cool. So he's playing all these games. Then the hour was done, and I told him, hey, man, I did this because I just want to say a message not only to you, but all the healthcare workers as a thank you for keeping us safe, man. And by the way, here's a couple gifts for you from different companies. We gave him a headset. We gave him a year of Xbox Game Pass. I was originally trying to get him a console, but Xbox didn't have any during that time, so we couldn't do it. But I was happy with that project, and we released that video. And I was not expecting that video to just be like big. I was just like, I just want to do this something special, something different. And it got picked up by major media outlets. I'm talking about like non-gaming sites talking about this, and the word went around, and it was because I thought about it, and at the same time doing something special for not only him but for everybody else, you know. So that was a very, very special moment for me, man. I want to do more stuff like that. Just give back as much as possible.
Good people doing good things. Good people doing good things.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Thank you so much, Danny. It's great talking to you again. We haven't talked like this in a while.
No, thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you guys are doing well. You're safe and healthy through everything. We're coming out the other end. I'm really hoping that next year, when I'm able to get out into the world again, that maybe you and I can meet up somewhere during some event that I'm welcome back to. We'll do something cool together.
Yeah, man. Yeah, if I was you, there's gonna be more. I heard there's gonna be more events at the end of the year. Hopefully, you could attend those in Los Angeles, and of course the Game Awards. That's like the big one, and you should try to go, man. Even if it's just a day, just fly in, fly out. You know, like I felt very safe. They were very strict about vaccination and mask and all that stuff, but you should go. And the reason why you should go is because that will be the perfect place for you to meet people and network. Because what we did was right after we went to the Game Awards, went to the JW, and everybody was there, so I could do introduction and yarn your own, do your thing. But I think you should definitely try, man, even if it's just one day.
Yeah,
try to go.
I am definitely.
It is possible.
Yeah, I submitted for PAX West and I got in, but in October I'm taking my whole family to Florida it's my wife and our 10-year anniversary.
Oh, congrats,
so we're going on. Thank you. We're going on a whole family trip to Florida for a week, and I was just kind of like, I couldn't afford to do both. So, but I got the approval for PAX West, and so I felt good because I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I'm still in the space, right? Nobody's forgotten about me yet. But yeah, definitely next year or later this year, I'm going to try to do some stuff for sure.
The same people that worked on PAX and also Star Wars and Comic-Con, they're also doing E3. Mm-hmm. So try also to submit your site for next year, because that will be something big for you guys too.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, you have yourself a great weekend. I really appreciate you taking the time. One more time. When is the book release?
So the book is coming out September 15th. The reason why I'm releasing it that day to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. That was the anniversary of me proposing to my wife, and that was the 1-year anniversary of the billboards in Times Square, man. Full circle.
Wow.
When I was there 20 years ago, Xbox launch, I was back for the billboard.
Iconic day. Well, we're getting a copy here. My son is definitely we're going to read that together, so we're looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, man.
All right, thanks, Danny.
Enjoy. Take care.